Now, the African National Congress has cancelled all January 8th activities due to the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic. The main celebration was set to be held in Limpopo with a limited number of people, but the increasing rate of new infections has forced the party to cancel all celebrations. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa will, however, deliver his address virtually. The January 8th statement is a platform for the party to set its agenda for the year. For more on the cancellation of the January 8th celebrations, ANC spokesperson Pule Mabi joins us now on the line. Pule, good evening and thank you very much for your time on News at Prime tonight. What informs the decision by the officials to cancel the 109th ANC celebrations?
Evening, Thabo, and evening to your viewers. This morning, the national officials of the African National Congress received a report from Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, who is the Minister of Health. And the report from Dr. Ramaphosa indicated that there was a worrying rise of infections in the country. And as a responsible party, the ANC, the national officials had to be considering that it would not be feasible to continue with the celebration when there are these worrying patterns of infections. We need to be seen acting in the most responsible manner, making a call to all of our structures to do and follow the things that the Department of Health and the National Coronavirus Command Council have been preaching throughout, which is to make sure that our people wear masks, they avoid larger gatherings, they continue to wash their hands with sanitizers or with soap, so that together we could be able to fight this pandemic successfully, while there are efforts to find the vaccine and make sure that we protect citizens of this country.
Now, Dr. Ramaphosa must have rather given them some alarming projections. Care to delve in and maybe elaborate for us? What did the officials hear from Dr. Ramaphosa?
Well, of course, I mean, what the report would have zoomed into was to begin looking into the behavior of the pandemic, especially now in the second wave, that there is a rise in cases of infections just in the past 2 days. In the past 2 days, you got reports that there have been 20,000 new infections. That must worry all of us. And the fact that almost all of the 8 provinces, with the exception of the Northern Cape, are affected, that must be a worry. Now, gatherings, whether of smaller numbers, could also again be a site of spike. Now, the ANC ought to be seen to be acting in the most responsible manner. And that is what the report would have, that is the kind of a picture that the report coming out of Dr. Ramaphosa would have painted.
How important is this event to the ANC? And is the decision by the officials likely to create backlash, maybe with other ANC members?
Well, not necessarily, because members of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress have themselves been acting in the most responsible manner. They do appreciate that a decision such as this one is beyond the ANC itself, because the ANC has effectively declared on itself the mandate of leading society. So if you lead society, sometimes you have to take decisions that are not necessarily only helpful to your members. You've got to take decisions that are also helpful for the rest of society. So National Executive Committee members of the African National Congress are already embracing these decisions. They have been on the ground as well, making sure that the statement issued by the ANC today is shared by the rest of our structures. Even on Twitter, it has been them retweeting the statements on Facebook, on Instagram, across the rest of the platforms that we have, to make sure that our structures understand that the ANC took this decision regarding having the livelihood of our people in mind.
Yeah. Now, you've mentioned Twitter, so I'll go there and other social media platforms. There's been some kind of reaction to that statement, others saying it's a question of funds. You want to address that?
Well, I think those that are saying it's a question of funds are a little bit lost. You know, you see, people shouldn't try too hard to take out blood even when there's no wound. You know, there was never a problem of funds as it related to doing January 8. Just last week, led by the Deputy Secretary General, we were out in Limpopo outlining the program own last digital publication, ANC Today, we had already begun outlining a lineup of activities that will be happening in January. So it couldn't be that suddenly our cancellation or the consideration to cancel this thing is linked to funds. We know that people are really trying hard to understand the affairs of the ANC. I mean, if the ANC has got any other issue that poses a challenge to it hosting events, it shall come out on its own and report out to the public. We're quite a transparent party in that way. But on this one, a decision was largely taken and motivated by the rising cases of infections. Last week, people were saying, why is the ANC wanting to continue with this event when we are now in the second wave? Now, a report has been given to the national officials, which now begins to show signs. Based on that, now we say, okay, we now have got the scientific data before us, and based on that, we don't believe that it is necessary for us to still forge ahead with the activities. It's not about money.
ANC spokesperson Pulemabi, I appreciate your time. So we're going to have to leave it tonight. That is, of course, Pulemabi responding to the statement by the ANC that the Jan 8 celebrations have now been taken online, with just President Cyril Ramaphosa going to address and read the statement to the members of the African National Congress.